Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I'm going to show you how I made this traditional bird box out of 100% recycled materials. So the first thing to do was to get up and get the old box down, and it had been up there for about 4 years, and you can see it's got a tree or like a plant growing through it, and it looks a bit beaten up. So I got up the ladder and removed it from the tree, and I had wired it to the tree with some really thick garden wire. And once I'd got it down, I had a look at it, and as you can see, it's seen better days. It's got a honeysuckle growing up through the roof, and the entrance has been gnawed by something, maybe a squirrel, and it was generally rotten as well. And I had a look inside, and you could see some nesting materials from previous birds, and I did see a blue tit in there nesting once. So for this bird box I decided to use this piece of, it's a particle board with a ply veneer, and I got that from a Pallet, which was quite strange because I'd never seen one like that before. So the first thing I had to do was just rip down one end to have a nice clean end to work with, and then I set up the table saw to cut the width that I wanted, and I chose 14 centimeters, and all the dimensions for the box will be in the description box below if you're interested. So I ended up with two nice pieces there to work with, and I just marked them up. So I decided to go with an overall height of 25 centimeters. So I first of all marked the total height of the box, and then what I wanted to do is find the point where the roof would begin. So it's going to have an apex. So I measured up the center, and you can see it's about 20 centimeters, and then there's an extra 5 centimeters where the roof goes up at the sides. So I found the middle, and then I marked up to find the pitch of the roof. So to cut out these angles I used the miter saw, and I matched up the angle on the miter saw with the marks that I'd made on the wood. So then I needed to cut two sides as well. And the box that I'm making, it's designed for slightly larger birds, such as a house sparrow or a starling. The previous box was more for like a blue tit sort of a bird. And what I'm doing here is, for the sides, I'm just marking up an angle, because when these sides go on, I want that angle at the top near the roof to act as a ventilation hole. So either side will have a vent. So I'm just cutting that angle there on the miter saw, and you'll see later there'll be a little gap at the top either side in case the box gets too hot in the summertime. There's a bit of ventilation up in the roof. And I just finished off the cut there with the hand saw. Now I needed to cut out a bottom. So now this is the front of the box. I wanted to find the center, so I used my speed square to make some lines, and then I marked up where I wanted to drill the hole. And for this I used a Forstner bit. I actually used a 38mm bit, which is quite large. You shouldn't really use any more than a 35mm bit for the hole, but like I say, I'm trying to attract a larger bird. So I set up the bit in this drill press, and this is the first time I've used this drill press. I was given this drill press by a very generous subscriber of mine, and his name's Richard. So thank you very much for that, Richard. And as you can see, the Forstner bit cuts a really neat hole in the wood. You can also use a spade bit. And I found a knob which came off a drawer, and I was going to use that as like a little stepping stone for the birds to climb into the hole. So I drilled a hole and I screwed a screw in through the back and just attached the knob on that way. Sort of like a little perch. Now I just used the sides to draw some lines on the front so that I could figure out where I needed to put the pilot holes to attach these sides. I then piloted the holes with a countersink, and the whole box was screwed and glued together. Now I'm just applying the back. And now the bottom. And for the bottom I didn't glue it so that I could access the box later on in the future if I needed to clean it out. So now I'm just marking up some lines for the pilot holes here. And I put 4 screws in, so if I ever want to remove the bottom I can just undo those 4 screws. So now for the roof, and I had some feather edge board left over from my workshop build, and I thought that would be ideal, and luckily it just happened to fit nicely. So first I just drilled some ventilation holes in the bottom of the box, and that would also help with drainage as well. And now it was time to cut down those pieces of feather edge board. And I had a slight overhang at the front just to protect the opening from driving rain. I then glued and screwed the roof on. So for the top of the roof where the two pieces join, there's a slight gap, so I decided to use a scrap piece of aluminium. So first I'll just cut it to length, and then I needed to give it a right angle to match the apex of the roof. So I had these two kind of right angle pieces of iron, and I decided to hammer the aluminium inside the angle and then add the other one on top, and this worked quite well. I then added a piece of adhesive to the back. This isn't necessary, I just had it lying around. And I then drilled a few pilot holes in the aluminium and added some little tacks. And that was how it was looking so far. Now it was just time to give it a quick sanding down, just to remove any rough edges. And you can just see there the ventilation gaps in the top by the sides, by the top of the roof. So for the finish I used a grey, slate grey decking stain, and I gave it 2 coats. And for the roof, again I used an outdoor furniture stain, which was a teak colour. And while I was waiting for the paint to dry, I decided to give the fish their lunch. So the last thing to do was to just add a ring to the back, because I was going to again wire the box up to the tree. You can screw a screw through the back if you like, but I prefer to wire the box on. And this way you don't really need any tools when you attach it. So then it was just time to get back up the ladder and attach it. And hopefully I'll attract some house sparrows, or maybe even a starling to the box. And I put it about 14 or 15 feet off the ground. So if you found this video useful, please leave me a like and also comment, and please consider subscribing as well if you haven't already. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.